I kind of wanted to touch on another subject with opportunity zones.
Okay.
So give us kind of a rundown of what an opportunity zone is.
So an opportunity zone, the federal government designated, I think, 8,500 tracts across the country, right? And said that if somebody invests the basis of whatever they buy it for, value of the land, they reinvest it into a construction project within a certain time frame. I think right now it's less than 30 months, 25 months, whatever it is. You have to reinvest the cost of the land into a development within a certain time frame.
Got it.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I get potentially, if I hold it for 10 years, I have no capital gain risk,
That's
which
huge.
is fantastic,
It's
right?
huge, yeah.
Now, the downside to that is that everybody thinks that they can charge extra for the land. One does not equate to the other.
Right.
The deal has to pencil on itself. But the biggest issue that we're having is that the federal government hasn't fully released the entire scope of what the QOZs are supposed to be, qualified opportunity zones.
Right.
And it is completely going against of how the city of LA works, in that everything takes a long process. So now if I have to add one more process into that timeline, I will never get to the point of putting enough boots in the ground to make the opportunity zone fund be in good standing.
Right.
The only people that are going to be able to do this are going to be either the big players, but the mom and pop investors, they can't do this.
Right.
And to go invest in somebody else's fund, whether I 1031 into that person's fund, I don't own the real estate.
Right, right.
So to a certain extent in California, I think it's a little bit of a false hope. We had when it first came out, we had a run where everybody's like, give me QOZ, give me QOZ. That conversation's kind of subsided.
Got it.
The people that are going to be playing in that field are already kind of out there, and whether it be, who was it? The Mooch or Craig Bernstein or all these guys that are really on the forefront, but they're more raising capital. They're not real estate folks.
Right.
And that's a big issue to me too.
I agree.
You know, they don't understand that the scope of these developments need to happen in certain areas. And not to also mention that just because I'm in a QOZ doesn't mean I can make money.
Right.
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 So I have a client that's building in a QOZ. Now, they built it before the QOZ, so they're not going to benefit from it. But they found a property that's tier 4, and they're building it without parking, and they're building it with a prefab.
There you go.
And that's a great business, but they're going to miss the boat.
Right. So I love this conversation because you have amazing segues. So one of the topics I wanted to cover was prefab and modular.
Yes.
So for those listening, if you don't know, one of the hindrances of projects not penciling is because the rising costs of labor and materials, right?
Sure.
And so one potential solution that's been thrown around is a modular prefab, which just essentially just means you build it after it's been designed in a warehouse by a prefab or modular company, and it gets literally transported to the development site and kind of bolted on, I guess. Or, yeah. So what do you think about that? And what are the challenges, or what are you seeing?
Many challenges, and it's a broken system. And I speak on it firsthand because I'm building a modular project right now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm building it's in its infancy, because dealing with this prefab construction is a nightmare.
Got it.
So number one, to get prefab approved, it's on the state level.
Oh, I see. So it's not even...
It's not even local.
Yeah, I see. I got it.
But I got to get my street works, my foundation approved on the local level.
Right.
That in and of itself, forget about it, right?
I see.
The other issue, the city's zoning hasn't caught up.
Right. Yeah.
So with regard to fire, with regard to accessibility, with regard to even construction, even insurance, none of it is caught up.
Right.
Second, furthermore, the cost of prefab isn't really yet where it needs to be.
I see. Where it's significantly
Where it's a
lower.
significant change.
Got it.
And the educational side to the buyer is also, or renter, is also a big learning curve. So I'm a builder, right? I'm going to build a project, and I want to cater to the masses.
Right.
I don't want to cater to the one guy that wants to buy prefab, live in prefab, or wants whatever it is, right?
Right.
You have to make decisions that are going to make you the most money.
Right.
And if my prefab product hasn't come down substantially in cost, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
And if I could go back to this project that I'm building, which is small lot subdivision homes, which I think I can get a premium of it, but that's not where prefab really needs to be.
No, it needs to be
in a apartment.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I get some form of a premium, but the reality is the timeline is screwed.
Got it.
Now, thank God I bought this well.
Yeah.
I've had it for a while and decided to build it, but it's not being mitigated by the timeline yet.
Understood.
And the costing is not where it needs to be. And most of those companies are not in California.
Right. Yeah. Colorado, Utah,
So we're
Midwest.
working with a company out of Colorado,
Right.
and we've been bidding out also a company in Arizona.
In Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one too. Okay. So that's a great point. I think for us, what we've seen is that obviously there's a clear present problem, and I think it's going to be a multifaceted approach,
Yes.
right? So there isn't just one silver bullet, but it's just more collaboration between the city, between the state, between the private sector, the builders, the developers, the brokers. Everyone has to have kind of a say in that solution.